Erokamano ahinya. Erokamano kendo koramogi. Erokamano kuom bet kodwa ka. Wago erokamano kabisa. Saidi. Kapod warito mondo wuon obi. Wacho ni mokwongo erokamano to cultural champions. Waromo kendo ka mondo wawach this our business. This our thing. Girwani. Mondo wawuo about girwani. Wamed nya weche luo. Kod luo-ness. Wamed bet manyao. Wagoni erokamano ni you could have been anywhere else but you're here. Wago erokamano kabisa. We could have been doing anything else but you're here with us. Erokamano, we do not take it for granted. Wachoga always, because it is true and it is stable and it is constant. LUO is our business. LUO is our business. 247, 365, 366, 368, 369, 370, and LUO is our business. And we are open for business. We are open for business. Little business, large business, middle business, big business, all business. Wago erokamano. Kendo to Ramogi Cultural Institute for Luo Heritage Research and Education again for me over this chance ma biro ka bet ka wacho weche wagi kendo losonwa pap mwanyalo betie, losonwa pap duong' mwanyalo mielie, kumwanyalo rome gi age mar digital ni, wanyalo bet koda digital pap wanyalo rome wawuoye wagoye mbaka wamor kaka Luo. Erokamano ahinya. Ka wachako adwa mana dakika moko ariyo alafu wachake. mana dakika moko ariyo alafu wadonje mbaka. Wadonji I sigana ma kawuono. Erokamano ahinya. Onle.
JK.
Ichopo.
Achopo.
Jogi osechako kodu kono.
Okoyot.
Daunanda.
Okoyot, but yeah.
Mane mwacho ga ni nyaka bedie gi challenges mamiyo wagro kiasi.
Yeah, to in fact ober nikech anto agine gino. I watched en answer moro juogi giluongi idonje sort out issues ma samoro oro message ni LUO no read piny.
LUO mano rit piny, mano
LUO mano read piny, nosewacho.
Mano mane papasa.
Yeah, nikech it had nothing to do with me, it had nothing to do with my family, or even, to be honest, even a Kenyan. En gama kamachielo to kendo an ema simba ywak to ni jomodonge wagone sim to luoro ok nyal dhi kanyo, to makosa be gionge gina joma bende ni mana gi papers maber to giwacho ni jogi ofuwo. Koro giwacho ni in ema inyal react situation aiza ging'ega gine tensions gi. So I had to go. Yeah. But atieke.
Mano ber tele, mano ber.
Atieka maber. Yeah.
Giwacho ka ni ka wade thoga kata kapod ongima koro.
Yeah.
Owuotho kosetho. So warito mana othoga diriyo. Warito mondo otho mar ariyo mondo oike.
Yeah.
Ber na at least inyalo dhi kuro.
Yeah. Actually, nyathi Uganda moro. And the police are not giving full information yet in case investigation. Koro either wrong identity to bedo shot to kotho in hospital. Apparently he was mistaken, or police the suggestion could mean it was again misdirected fire. Onego beni ga ngama chielo tene mogoe. Koro
but mano onge pressure telo. By this week ubo ng'eyo.
Yeah, this week, in fact, an abro ng'eyo kata ka piny pok oru donge an gi wenge na kuro ero sani sama wuoyeni. I'll get information, but the long shot of it is that he's a Ugandan boy. He's out of danger. Obedo shot, but he's out of danger. Osegole surgery and a normal ward and kare obro dhi maber. Koro
Mano ber.
yeah. So they looked around in our diaspora association. Ogosim, awinjo no ogosim ni jang'wen jogo ko no, I'm not going to near those people. I'm not going anywhere.
Would Museveni okomak?
Nah, to kendario to gin jothurgi jokono, jo Uganda to tamre dhi.
Mago werigo. Telo rwak mos jogi nikech ni wariti mondo wadonji mbaka.
So, sure, yeah. Nyikwara moga jwang'ero kamano. Wasechopo. ka wasechopo ka kawuono en chieng'wa odiechieng'no mar Luo Folktales and Stories. Aparo ni tension no kik ji bed ni buoge nikech ginyalo winjo koro when I'm in danger. Let me just clear it. Nope, I'm not in danger. I was just helping a situation and I helped. It was okay. It went well. All is good. That's so that people are kik penjere no what happened. All is good. Ana jaute and I did what I needed to do. That was all. Kokamano nyikwa Ramogi warwako e odiechieng' ma kawuono mar Luo Folktales and Stories. Kendo kaka pile Nouda Onle an ema host gara GK Ramoth mamiyowaga weche adimba e yore ma ancestors wa oketo kuome e yor juogi, to en koro okelonwa gi ka to opogonwa gi e migepe matindo tindo madonjonwa kendo mwawinjo. Wamor ahinya kendo kawuono kendo arwakou to maduong' ahinya Ramogi Cultural Institute for Luo Heritage Research and Education. Watimonu erokamano kuom especially ketowa e line ma mbele ni Nouda Onle a host to Ramoth GK to koro emobed dhou kendo bed itu kendo bed daraja ma ikindwa kod jogo manoseyweyo but noweyo weche mabeyo mwatiyogo nyaka sani, noweyo chike mabeyo mwatiyogo nyaka sani. Koro erokamano, arwakou kendo arwakou te. Suduru machiegni, kauru kahawa, kauru gimukao, kauru pi, jo Ugenya license en valid, watim kamacha. Jalego nyocha openja nang'o momiyo jo Ugenya emimiga license to wan bende wang'e gini. Ai nyaka uti matek eka miu license. Jalego pod Ugenya oyombo. Erokamano. GK aduokni irwak jogi wago mbakani. Erokamano.
jo Alego kia golo asoya. Ging'isa live. Gitimre ni gikia kaka Kenya tiyo.
Gin gi kia meaning ma TKK chakara.
Telo mbaka ma kawuono wadwa dok Igono, Egypt. Wadwa dok Egypt wayudie mbaka machon ma kwerewa ne goyo. Nikech wadaki continent ni to nitie mbaka mang'eny mantie continent ni ma wakia. To continent ni to marwa. Ka gimoro mari to ber king'eye inside out. So Luo otero idea mar dhano to a higher level. But one element mabedo dhano ni understanding my your environment is very important. Nyaka ing'e chon kaka environment no ne chal, sani, kiny be. To environment no ok en mana environment kaka English wache gacha. En kata paro, ji mantie around. So mbaka ni ondike gi dho ngere tiluonge ni The Tale of Two Brothers. Tochako kama. Once upon a time, maning'en kiwinjo ni once upon a time, mano ng'iso ni jomo translate gin ng'a. Nikech gin to kila kitu en once upon a time. There were two brothers called Anpu and Bata who lived beside the Nile. Anpu, the elder, had a beautiful wife, a house with a garden round it, and rich land beside the river. Bata, the younger, lived with them, more like a son than a brother. But he worked hard and willingly for Anpu, making his clothes driving his oxen out to pasture, plowing, sowing the seeds in rich mud after the inundation, and reaping the golden corn as springtime turned into the first hot days of summer. And in time, he grew to be an excellent farmer. There was not his equal in the land. And Hamachis, the god of the rising sun, had him in his special care. Day by day, Bata followed the oxen. In the evening, came back to the house laden with the herbs of the field, with herbs of the field, with milk, and with wool, and with the rest of the farm produce, with all the rest of the farm produce. And he would put them down before his elder brother, who would be sitting there with his wife beside him. And he would eat and drink, and then go to sleep near the oxen to guard them from all harm. When morning came, he would take the bread he had baked and lay it before them, before taking his own with him out into the fields as he drove the cattle to pasture. As he walked behind the cattle one day, they spoke to him, saying, "The best grass for us is over there." And Hamachis gave him the power of understanding their words, so that he took them always to the best pastures. And the cattle grew exceedingly strong and beautiful, and had a multitude of fine calves. From time to time, Bata and Anpu dwelt thus happily together. For some time, Bata and Anpu dwelt thus happily together. And the blessing of Hamachis that was upon all that Bata did brought prosperity such as few mortals had ever known. Yet at last, evil came out of it. For Anpu's wife grew jealous of Bata and envious that all their good fortune depended on him. And he brought trouble between the two brothers with lying tongues and wicked sinful words. And the end of it was that on an evening of spring, when Bata came home driving the herd before him and carrying on his head loads of herbs, as was his custom, the foremost cow turned and said as she entered the stable before him, "See, your elder brother is standing behind the door with a drawn knife in his hand to slay you. Therefore flee away." At first, Bata paid no attention. But when the next cow said the same thing, he looked down and saw his brother's feet beneath the stable door. Then he cast down his load and fled away, with Anpu after him, knife in hand. Then Bata cried out to Hamachis, god of the rising sun, saying, my good Lord, who saves the good from evil, help me now." Hamachis heard his cry and suddenly opened a channel of water between the two brothers, which they could not cross since it was full of crocodiles. So they were forced to wait, one on either side, until the sun rose. And when Hamachis had filled the world with the red light of morning, Bata cried to Anpu, "Why did you run after me to slay me without waiting to hear what I had to say to you? Am I not truly your brother? Have you not been to me as a father and your wife as a mother?" And then he told of all the tales of the wicked plots of Anpu's wife, and made a vow before Hamachis that what he had said was true, and cut himself with his knife to sanctify the oath. Then Anpu was filled with sorrow, and longed to go and comfort his brother and beg his forgiveness. But he could not do so because of the channel full of crocodiles which Hamachis had opened between them. Presently, Bata said, "Because you have believed evil of me and tried to kill me without letting me speak, I will leave you to tend your own cattle. I shall go into the secret valley of Acacia, and I shall call forth my Bai, my hidden soul, and place it on top of the acacia flowers. If anyone cuts down the acacia tree, my bark will fall to the ground, and you must come to seek it and put it in the cup of pure cold water, so that it may return to my body once more and I may live. And you shall know that I have need of you, and that the acacia has been cut down by this sign. When someone sets a cup of beer in your hand, and the beer sits in the cup and is troubled, then come in haste to seek me. So Bata and Akajiel. So Bata journeyed across the desert to the valley of the acacia. But Anpu went back to his house, slew his wicked wife, and flung her body to the dogs. Then he sat down and mourned for the loss of his younger brother. Many days passed, and Bata still dwelt in the valley of acacia. There he lived altogether alone, hunting the wild beasts in the desert, and coming back each evening to lie down and sleep under the acacia which held his bar, upon its topmost bough. In time, he built for himself a high tower in the valley of acacia and filled it with good things, so that it might be his home. Now, from time to time, the gods themselves walked visibly in the valley of acacia. And it chanced on a day that the nine who had the highest honor at Memphis came to the tower where Bata dwelt. When he saw them, Bata fell down and worshipped them. Then they spoke one to another about him. At last, Hamachi said, "Greetings to you, Bata. Do you dwell here alone?" When Bata bowed his head at this, Hamachi continued, "We know that you left your home on account of the wife of your brother Anpu, the wicked wife whom he has now slain. And we hold that you have done well and shown yourself innocent." Then Hamachi turned to Knemu, the molder of men, and said, "It is good that Bata the righteous should dwell no more alone. Make for him a woman to be his wife." So Knemu took clay and fashioned it and made the most beautiful woman in all Egypt, perfect in shape and limb. And Ra breathed the breath of life into her, and the rest of the gods gave her gifts. Then they departed to their own place, and the 7 Hathors came to spin the fate of Bata's wife. And one of them said, "She will die a sharp death." Bata rose from his knees when the Hathors had gone, and took his lovely wife by hand and led her into the tower. There he gave her jewels and garments of gold, and she dwelt happily with him, and he loved her exceedingly. Presently, Bata began to go hunting again during the day. But before he left his wife, he told her of how his bar dwelt in the topmost flower of the acacia tree beside the tower, and what would chance to him if any man should find it. Also he said to her, "It has been revealed to me that trouble will come upon us from the river. So I command you to remain in the tower beneath the tree in the valley of the acacia, and never go out to the valley, to the shore, lest the river should seize you." Bata told her of this many times, and the more he told her, the more she longed to go out to the valley of acacia, and took upon this strange thing called and to look upon this strange thing called the river. At last she could control her curiosity no longer. One day, when Bata was far away hunting in the desert, she stole out of the valley of acacia down to the river bank, where she walked on the fresh grass, marveling at the broad blue waters that danced and sparkled in the sunshine, rippled and rippled across against the bank. Presently, however, happy, the Nile god beheld her and was filled with desire. With a roar, he came rushing down over the land to seize her, and she fled away across the valley of Acacia, crying aloud in terror. But as she turned to fly, Happy caught hold of her, and before she could break away, he snatched a lock of her hair. Butter's wife fled to the tower and never again ventured out of the valley of Acacia down onto the shore of the Nile. Nor did she tell her husband of her disobedience or of how she had been punished for it. But the Nile carried the lock of her hair down to the sacred lake at Memphis. It floated in the water at the place where the washermen from the palace washed the clothes of Pharaoh. And the sweet scent from the lock of her hair passed into the Pharaoh's garments. Everyone marveled at the perfume, which was sweeter and pleasanter than any of the other than any had ever known before. And the washermen quarreled against themselves, each claiming that he was responsible for giving Pharaoh this new and exquisite pleasure. The overseer of the washermen was angry at these quarrels, and he went himself to the sacred lake to see if he could solve the mystery. He stood at the exact spot where the lock of hair was floating, and when he had seen it and smelled its fragrance, he carried it in triumph to Pharaoh. Then the scribes and the magicians of Memphis were summoned into the presence of Pharaoh. And when they had studied the lock of hair, the chief magician said, "O Pharaoh, life, health, and strength be to you. This is a wondrous lock of hair that comes from the head of the daughter of Hamachis, god of the rising sun. The essence of every god is in her. It comes to you from a distant land to bring you praise and good fortune. Therefore, we advise you to send out messengers to seek for her and bring her to be your wife." "What you tell fills my heart with delight and longing," said Pharaoh. "Therefore, it is my decree that messengers go forth into all lands to find this daughter of Hamachis, whom the gods have destined to be my bride." So the messengers set out, each with a small company of soldiers to guard him, and they went far and wide in search of the princess with the scented hair. One party came at length to the valley of Acacia, and would have taken Butter's wife to his sword and smote them all to the ground in his anger. Yet one man lived, though sore wounded, and crept away to tell Pharaoh. Then Pharaoh sent an army, but he bade them to wait by the river while the guile was tried. They obeyed his orders and laid hidden in their boats, while one woman went up into the valley of Acacia and spoke with Butter's wife. And when she told her of the power and glory that would be hers as Pharaoh's bride, and gave her the rich jewels and ornaments that she had sent her, Butter's wife did not hesitate to run away secretly and sail down the Nile in the royal boat to become the bride of Pharaoh. When she came to Memphis, Pharaoh loved her exceedingly and made her princess of Egypt, the chief of his wives. But he said, "My messengers report that you already have a husband in the valley of Acacia. Tell me concerning him." And she said, "All that needs to be told is that he is not as other men are. Therefore send swiftly to the valley of Acacia and cut down the acacia trees beside the tower and destroy it utterly." Pharaoh issued the command. His servant hastened up the Nile far to the south until they came to the entrance of the valley of Acacia. They entered the valley and cut down the trees which stood beside the tower and destroyed it with fire. When the flower which held the soul of butter, was cut down, it fell to the ground, and Bata also sank and died in the same moment of evil. That very hour, Anpu, his brother, entered his own house, washed his hands, and called for a cup of beer. A servant set it in his hands, and once the beer grew muddy and seethed in the cup, Dakachiel, a servant set it in his hands, and at once the beer grew muddy and seethed in the cup like a troubled sea. Then Ampu cried, "Evil has befallen Bata, my brother. Now I must hasten away to the valley of the acacia to restore him." So he bound his sandals on his feet, took his weapons and his staff, and set out immediately. In time, he came to the valley of Acacia and entered the tower and found Bata lying there dead upon the floor. He wept and mourned for a while, then went into the valley of Acacia and sought for the bar of his brother. For 3 years he sought it in vain. At last he said, "Tomorrow I will return to Egypt." When the sun rose, he decided to spend one last day seeking for his brother's soul. All day he searched in vain, and as the sun was sinking, he returned to the tower. And as he passed beneath the branches of the new acacia tree, which had grown where the old one stood, a seed fell at his feet. He picked up the seed and flung it into a cup of cold water. Then he sat down according to his custom. Now the seed held the bar of Bata, and when it had sucked up all the water, Bata's body began to tremble all over. And presently the corpse sat up, ghastly in moonlight, and held out its withered hand. And Pooh set the cup in the corpse's hand, and it raised it to its lips and drained it. Then the soul returned into Bata's body, and he was a withered corpse no longer, but a living man. He rose from where he lay, and the two brothers clasped each other in their arms, and the night fled away in the joy of their reunion. But when the first light of dawn appeared, and Hamachis, the god of the morning, was about to drive the chariot of Ra up into the sky beyond the eastern desert, Bata said to Anpu, "I must leave you now, for so the gods decree. My human form cannot endure. My spirit shall enter into a bull, sacred to Ptah, Lord of Memphis. When the sun rises, you will see me no more as Bata, but only as this holy bull with all the correct marks upon me. Never a black hair save upon my forehead, my neck, and my back in the spots of the right shape. You must mount upon my back, and I will carry you to Pharaoh's court, where you will be rewarded with silver and gold, because you bring the bull, who will become a great marvel throughout all the land. For all will deem that in it dwells the Spirit of God." Anpu embraced his brother once more. Then Bata went out into the darkness. When the sun rose, the world was filled with light, and there stood before the tower a magnificent white bull with great sweeping horns. Anpu mounted on his back, and they traveled along the river for many days until they came to Memphis. Pharaoh rejoiced when he saw the bull and rewarded Anpu richly, saying, "This is indeed a great wonder which has come to pass." And the whole land rejoiced at the coming of the great bull of Ptah. He was given a beautiful dwelling place and many attendants not far from the royal palace. Anpu, laden with riches, returned to his home and dwelt there with all honor. Not long after he had gone from the court, however, there was a holy day in honor of Ptah. And the great bull passed into the temple and stood in the holy place. Presently, the princess of Egypt came to make her offering, and the bull said to her, "Behold me alive, whom you thought dead." "Who then are you?" she asked in surprise. The bull answered, "I am Bata, your husband, whom you sought to kill by causing Pharaoh to cut down and destroy the tree in the valley of Acacia, on which my spirit rested. But my brother Anpu found my bar in the likeness of a seed, and now it has entered into this body, and I, Bata, am the bull of Ptah." The princess was filled with fear, and she fled speedily out of the temple, devising in her heart how she might destroy Bata the bull even more thoroughly than she had destroyed him when he was a man and her husband. At length, she invited Pharaoh to her place. He came with the morning sun, and all day she entertained him and made his heart glad. At night, they feasted. So she wrote upon Pharaoh, and she cried, "Truly, my princess." No. So she wrote upon Pharaoh, and he cried, "Truly, my princess, I will grant you a great boon, even half my kingdom. Ask, and I will give." Then the princess said, "You must swear before the gods in these words, whatever you, the princess of Egypt, ask, that I promise to grant." Pharaoh swore the oath. Then the princess cried, "Give me the liver of the bull of Ptah to eat, for it is wholly useless for any kind of work." Pharaoh was filled with sorrow at her words, but for his oath's sake, he needs to do as she asked. So next day, a decree of a great feast in the temple of Ptah, he decreed a great feast in the temple of Ptah and commanded that the bull should be slain as an offering. One of the chief royal slayers, no, royal slaughterers was brought to kill the bull. And after that, the deed was done. The attendants were carrying the body out of the temple to prepare the great feast. The dead bull suddenly jerked his head, and 2 drops of blood fell on the either side of the pylon gateway. Next morning, 2 passer trees had grown from the drops of blood and stood overshadowing the pylon gate, wonderful and fragrant. Then messengers hastened to the palace and told Pharaoh, Behold, a wonder has come to pass. 2 great passer trees have sprung up in the night and stand on either side of the temple gateway before the pylons." Then Pharaoh, all the people rejoiced greatly and paid much honor to the 2 magic trees. They flourished for many months and seemed to be bringing many blessings to the land of Egypt, not the least of which was that the princess was soon to bear a child. For although Pharaoh had many children, only the child of the great royal wife, the princess of Egypt, could succeed to the throne. When the time drew near, Pharaoh and the princess went in state to the temple of Ptah, and he wore the double crown of Egypt, and the princess was garlanded with flowers. After the ceremony, they sat in the shade of the magic passer trees without the pylon gate, outside the pylon gate. Now Pharaoh slept for a while, and while he did, the passer tree behind her spoke to the princess, saying, "O wicked and deceitful one, know that I am Bata your husband, whom twice you have slain, when my bar rested on the tree in the holy valley of Acacia, when it entered the holy bull." Then the princess was filled with fear, and she thought swiftly how she could slay Bata once more and for all. Soon she hit upon a plan. She cast herself at Pharaoh's feet, clasping his knees, crying, "Pharaoh, my lord, grant me a boon, or I shall die, and no son shall be born to sit on the throne of Egypt after you have gone up to dwell with Osiris." Then Pharaoh woke up in a great fright and explained, "I swear before the gods to grant whatever you may wish. Only rise from the ground and cease to cry out, lest some evil befall both you and our unborn child. Then cut down the passia trees, she cried. Cut them into planks and use the wood, but burn with fire both the leaves and the roots. Pharaoh was filled with sorrow at her words, but he knew that he must not cross her will, and he could not break his oath. So he sent for his carpenters, and they cut down the passia trees and hewed them into planks and burned down the roots and the leaves. The princess of Egypt stood watching. Suddenly she laughed with joy at the destruction of the trees, and as she laughed, a splinter of wood from one of them flew into her mouth, and she swallowed it. That night, a son was born to her who grew into a strong and handsome young man. Pharaoh loved him well and made him the prince of Cush, so that all might know that he would be the next to sit upon the throne of Egypt. When Pharaoh went to join the other gods, the prince became Pharaoh indeed, and at once he sent for all his lords, for all his lords, and for the princess his mother, and for Anpu, and he told them all that had befallen, saying, "I am Bata, who has been born again, as the son of the good God who rests with Osiris, and this woman who was my wife when I dwelt in the valley of Acacia." Then all bowed before him, crying, "Pharaoh, Pharaoh, life, health, and strength be to you." After this, judgment was passed upon the princess of Egypt according to the law of gods and men, and she died a sharp death, even as the Hathors had prophesied. But Bata reigned as Pharaoh for 30 years, with his brother Anpu as his chief advisor. And when Bata also went to join the gods, Anpu stood beside his body and saw it laid to rest in a deep tomb in the valley of the kings, behind the western Thebes. Orumo kanyo. Telo.
JK.
Onge wach. Winjo.
Winji. Isemo message na cha.
No bor matin.
Nanene. Obor matin. Ineno message na? Oh, okay.
But interesting. Ntie several reasons why ne kaw story ni. Several. Mokwongo kineno story ni, my story is very old. Very, very old. But Ibo yudo several stories from the Bible in this.
Yes, I had, and there is a number of connections.
Several. Wakiwachoga ni jogi nogolo Bible from this text mek Egypt tiwacho no several.
Yeah, I could hear a number of things. It breaks your mind, and you're like, I've heard something around that line before. And then in Wangoni, he says something from the Bible, such a line. Not exactly, but yeah.
No, these are the originals. Magi are the originals. Okay, so Magi were written before there was even a Bible. Before there was even Jews or something, Kakama. In these texts, many stories from the Bible no goal from the older texts. Manegi golo to joke. Jiparoni, it is a joke. Kata the bull an example in the bull mabedo slaughtered ja. Ntie kama oparo nie story no. Ntie any story ming'eyo e Bible kaka ma okijaka bed right mapenja ka nitie story yoyote misewinjo machal kamano.
Yeah, slaughtering of bulls notimre e Bible. Kaparo correctly. Kane nitie contest, ng'ama nokelo Elijah. There was a contest between Prophet Elijah and the Baal gods. Nyiseche maniluongo ni seche manono, ma Biblia luongo ni seche manono. Koro ne nitie contest ni dwaro ni ong'e ni to ng'ama Nyasache en Nyasaye mar adier. To giwacho ni those prophets, prophets noluonga almost 450 ma gin ne gi represent probably prophets of Baal. Ne ginego dhok. Koro gichako ywak. Ging'adre nyaka gi pala ni. Kech gima noketne en ni ka mach oa e polo, ok mok mach kanyo. Okimok mach ring'o no, ikete dhiang'. Kisenego bull tipange kanyo. To mach bro a from your gods kata God to wang'e automatically. Koro they tried. Mowach ni kisome to wacho ni gitemo nyaka odhiambo. To Elijah ne nyiero gi ng'iso gi luonge uru matek, maybe onindo, maybe odhi bayo pok oduogo, gik moko aina. Kanochopo kar Elijah, to Elijah just said a few words. To mach, Bible wacho ni mach noa e polo molwar kendo bull no owang' mamit kendo nogolo arufu mamit, to arufeno nochimo achima polo tir modhi omoro Nyasaye e polo. Yeah, mane loosely translated kaparo mane. Koro slaughtering of the bull near Bible. Yeah.
Mano achiel from them. Kendo kineno the bull, kakinego the bull, and exactly the story mar John the Baptist. Exactly. And then the difference now, it is a bull. But kako kwayo the head, but more kwayo the liver, but kwayo the head. The process is exactly the same.
Yes.
Kako do to the king or timo kamano. So ntie details kanyo kata kaka story mar Joseph kaka work hard ang'o yot mar Cain the brother, but yot mar gine mar the Pharaoh alafu duogo obet nen moran everything.
Yes.
Kakinene eventually
Kaka nouse okwongo use gi brothers ge odhi kucho bedo slave matin, prove himself, ochak kete in charge of a few things, title either mobedo almost a governor of a whole province and such like that. Yeah.
Alafu kakiwacho story mar gine kakiwacho story mar ba the soul kaka relate gi gine kaka relate gi the coat of many colors.
Yes. Yes.
So iwacho gani many of these stories mantie Bible because the more text more the Jonah all the ibo yudo older, much older equivalents mantie in Africa, much older by thousands of years. Which can't so many kendo kisomo the other books monego bedi Bible, then all make sense, or make even more sense. Until more stories. Okay. The church noduoko the gine, noduoko the books. Noduoko the books. So gin noduoko the books chien.
The number of you mean the number of the books?
Noduoko no make the books low. Negi slash the number of books.
Yes.
So Can you understand stories make Bible Tiboneno so much parallels in so many of these stories? It's so much. Another one. Amachis and nga. Who is Amachis? Kidok in English. Actually, English. Ki translate into English to be kumokolal. It's giving the understanding of the world. Hamakis, you also come up from translation, often associated with the sun and the horizon. Is a fascinating figure in Egyptian mythology. This deity, Gingilongen deity, but the Jogono to knock as a deity, give about the sun and the horizon, embodies the duality of the sun's journey across the sky and signifies the ancient Egyptian worldview. Koroki wa John Hamachis, Gijogi translate ni a god, but in kaking ingisogeny, our religion is LUO, is the LUO worldview. Kagi translate to Gibo Wachon, okay. LUO worldview wabo luongenade. Okay, we give it a name. Wachini luongen Nyasai. The worldview itself. The worldview. Okay, the sun is important. Okay, the sun, Katakirango Africa, the sun represents the human life. Iparo time manasomo kindenzi chana wachoni negi wachonade. The idea. Kane kindenzi in a book about Japidi. But the introduction, Samaniti mo introduction. Negi wachon the idea. The idea in kama. Kama nondi kido geni warange nyinge. And nyinge ma interesting. Wa Congo. To anahero gigi nikech kata Congo nitie joluo. Iluonge nyinge Kiabun Seki Fukiao. Ng'ama nondiko bugno. Kia Bunseki Fukiao. Mane nyinge. To buk mar ariyo gindiko kod AM Lukondo Wamba. Koro introduction ni ma interesting. Bunseki Fukiao no seto but and very interesting. Because the first book na kana somo introduction no actually in his groundbreaking book Self-Healing Power and Therapy. Self-Healing Power and Therapy. Emane book ma Fukiao no chakogo. Eko biro in kindenzi. Wachoni Dr. Fukiao tells us that Muntu, the human being, in quotes, the living sun, is perceived as a power, a phenomenon of perpetual veneration from conception to death. So kagiwacho hamachi so giwu about some god in the sky, giwu about potential mangani. Gimano wacho nyorocha the consciousness. His relation to his consciousness and worldview Manowogo was really strong. They opened for him ways. Was exceedingly strong. Mangisoni kineno kata the things he was doing at the beginning. Or understand the world of cows, otimo harvest, otimo odi onge kakikelo gi onge the farm produce manongama intimately worldview ne consciousness ne or attached with the environment. Because how much is to mana the sun on the horizon and the worldview behind it. Mama Gerton, at the time he grew to be an excellent farmer. There was no equal in the land, and Hamachis, the god of the rising sun, had him in his special care. Hamachis. Kagi translate to Gibo on God, but and deeper than this, and deeper than that.
In that sense, in that world, if the kagin okay, jokalungi deity, people have
Or a god.
possibly, or a god, but in low consciousness, in a totally different
And the
aspect.
worldview itself. The
And the
worldview
worldview itself,
and
yes.
the understanding of the human being in that worldview.
Correct, yeah.
Enang. Nkech,
Um,
mhm,
yes.
Dembele.
So, kaki jawacho gacha, ni in the Luo worldview, yes, Luo worldview vis-a-vis our Luo consciousness. There is only there is only creation, and at every stage, there is a possibility of creativity and creation in each and every stage. You can't put it to an end. Miwachini, there is only something that is the only creator, because what happens is in the Luo worldview or Luo consciousness, you have self. You have to have self consciousness, and you have to have self that self pride that you can achieve at whatever level you can achieve uh, the highest level of creativity and creation in whichever way you want it to be. So,
Mm.
that's why kajoka luonge ni God, jogo luonge ni deity, jogo but in Luo consciousness, it's a totally different experience.
And a very, very interesting aspect. Kata ntie this idea ni wacho ni how much is wuoyo called Knum, the fashioner of men.
Repeat that.
How much is
Mm.
wuoyo called Knum,
Mm-hmm.
the fashioner of men, the creator of men.
Mm-hmm.
Ma is not completely another. Kagiluongeni, then Hamachi stand to Knemu, the molder of men, and said, "It is good that Bata, the righteous, shall dwell no more alone. Make for him a woman to be his wife." So Knemu took clay and fashioned it and made the most beautiful woman in all Egypt. Perfect in shape and limb. Mano is Kumano Golie, the story of creation. Completely. Kechi was alone. He was with the animals. He was alone. Adam was alone with the animals, naming them. These are African stories. Coach, these are African stories. We really mean it. Oken story. It is really what we are saying. These are African stories. These are African stories. Mobedo olo kalaf kino gik moko bed very, very complex.
Ramoth, are we in any? I don't know whether he's here or not. Remember that guy who once asked me, when shall we get to a point where we are discussing the Luo creation story? But you have just read a piece that corresponds with what appears to be the way the creation of that we read in the holy book, the Bible, is exactly coined.
Manemo Chotelo. That is where the story is taken from. Ongegimon divine inspiration. Those stories are taken from these stories. Alaf Korogibet called scribes Manoa Choka, Togichako made the stories. Kagi saw you a bit of Roman history, mythology, a bit of Asian mythology. Alaf make the whole story, but the core of it in Africa. Okay. Why Knum? Kajogi Knemu gi translate Knum in English and Knum. Mano Kendo. Knum is one of the most fascinating deities in Egyptian mythology. He's often depicted as a ram-headed god, representing strength and creation. strength and creation. En kineno picture ne, kirango pictures ne, kata koket gi i korot magono, obet ga a potter's wheel to mold people from clay on the potter's wheel. Emomiyo ineno story manwasomo mokwongo Aripakido. Aripakido
Yes.
noloso the dhiang' from what? From the clay.
From the clay, yes.
So oken physically molding and the technology of creativity. Dongi paro nyoro the proverb ne wacho nadi? Jachwech chiemo itago.
Yes, yes.
Wachon oken jachwech as people think. En jachwech ma jachwech. Ko en certain principle. Oken the profession.
Yeah.
My principle magi wuoyo about. Kori wachon, let us make for him a wife because he's alone.
Yes.
Emomiyo Bible wachon, let us make for him a wife. To keep enjogin, it was God and who? The God, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit negi discuss. But you watch on these are one. How are they discussing? Get the story of cow from how much is wuoyo kod knemu. But koro kinyal keto gigo nkechi itemo wachon there is one God. So iloko that part. Nkech story gigin much by thousands of years older than the Bible. Thousands. Alafu kako chweye, alafu kako dhibo betray the thing, chala story mar Eve. Bongisen kikicham gini, kikidhi to the river. To happy kendo en nga. Nkech gigi tentie. And we are not interested. Okwan interested at all in learn about Africa, at all. Odong Superman and all these other things, but just African Guinea, mago pagan nonsense.
Yeah, our brain has been made to understand that those are pagan. Okonegi discuss kata. We kata the jochiende luongi jochiende. We discuss jochiende.
Bas. To ng'ama ng'isi kamano okaw the history mane uwacho, the stories mane uwacho Africa oloko gi, so it is just as king'e the African stories, ting'e what they are saying. Ng'e what they are saying. Ng'e where the stories are from. So seche moko kata kineno nok wakaw gigi seriously. Jogi okohero. Yes, because kata kisomo na that story anyalo ng'isi where it comes from. Aya. Kosetimo disobedience, to ang'o? Punishment biro. Time moro mana asomo the book of Adam and Eve. Mantie the Ethiopian church. A long book, several chapters. All the things mane they went through. Mano no ket kando, nkech bo ng'isi so much about this African connection. So wakete a bit kando, nkech Byzantium dwa Roman system manyo religion maginyalo mako go everyone. So you do the lock of hair by the water. Still same story ma Moses. Kech no biri basket. The story changed, no biri basket. But man no biri a lock of hair that smelled so nice. Smells so nice. Otek tell.
Otek, but the bottom line, any kakiwachono, we have been really programmed to hate ourselves, starting from ourselves. Nikeche, ko kinyal somo your own story, nisini manorach. To mara ni to ber. To koro in mari charach, kendo mari chabe oken kata gima rach. Mari chan pagan, maka jochiende. Don't even talk about your. Taparon mind gimara mouth. I've always said it. without without apologies to anyone. And gima sega bit kawacho ni keche. I even once had a discussion with some pastors around it, and we had to respectfully part ways with others because my argument is always one. Ni onge kaka inyalo ng'isa ni kwar ng'ato kata dan ng'ato kata min ng'ato kata wuon ng'ato manohere kabisa kabisa kabisa, ohere kaka family, this is my blood. To ochopo ndalo ma koro odok buru dok e buru and all those things happen. Ni to koro ng'ani olokre jachien koro cut relationship ni koro mano jachien. How do I have control over where these people are going and what happens to them? I don't know that. I don't want to know that. What I know, Ma was my grandmother, Ma was my mother, Ma was my father. That's all I know. And then, alternatively, or rather, in the other end, nitie book moro mimiya nasom, to bugno to nigi kwere. To kwere go gin to koro kendo nyaka migi luor, kendo nyaka hergi, kendo nyaka lame on their behalf, kendo nyaka lam in their names and all that. I stand my ground. As much as kwere go gi waluoro gi kendo wamigi luor kabisa nikech gin e book ma bende wasomo ko puonjre go. Please let me also just use my own consciousness to respect mine even in death and to honor them even in death. They are never ok gin jochien. Jachien, no, that is your own word, your own language. I don't know it. Okay, yeah.
Ineno telo, just in this story, wanyalo dhi in so many ways nikech produce so many characters. Kaka achiel giwachon he had put his bar noketo on acacia trees. Bar, then the bar nong'ise ni if my bar is a problem with my bar to gine to ibo bia ni no bo chako kelo shida. Bani en ang'o? Bani en ang'o? Ibo realize ni kata when we talk about Luo worldview, these things just make sense.
Yes.
Ba giwacho kama, in ancient Egyptian mythology, or Gibolongan mythology as always, the goddess Ba, Gilongan goddess, but Ba, plays a significant role as a representation of the human spirit, of the human soul and personality. Kagiwachon the human soul, manogin magiketo. Okay, this idea
Human soul.
Mano is their idea, European idea, a Eurasian idea. From Europe to Asia, they have this idea. In Luo, what is your soul? In Luo, what is your soul? The community itself. That is your soul. Kanyemibo last forever. For your soul to disappear, the whole Luo people must disappear. The blood, the lineage, the genealogy. No Luo has to exist for your soul to die. Like completely. Completely wiped out in the world. Okay. So Achokama plays a significant role as a representation of the human soul, Goldie's nonsense, and personality. She's often depicted as a bird, particularly a hawk or a winged woman. Manipenjan, what do the birds represent? This part of the consciousness. Ibo don't know why it is consciousness. Symbolizing the ability of the soul to travel between the realms of the living and the dead. Ineno, Koacho realms of the living of the dead. That is their religious mindset. Because there's a place where the dead are and there's a place where the living are. In Luo consciousness, there's no realm more across. The ancestors gain through us. They are there. Give partake of space, ginka. So the concept of Ba is deeply intertwined with the Egyptian beliefs surrounding the afterlife and the journey. Ma is the interpretation of what the Egyptians said. And the soul must undertake after death. Okay. This article is okay. We'll give you that article. Take Amagiwacho something here. The term Ba refers to one of the components of the soul in ancient Egyptian belief. The Egyptians believed that the soul was made up of several parts: the Ka, the Ba, and the Ak. The Ka, the Ba, and the Ak. Each of these components had its own function and significance. While the Ba represented the life force and the physical aspect of the person, the Ba was associated with personality, individuality, and unique traits that defined the person during his lifetime. Ma Emma Achoga, gi confuse gini. Tell Achoga, consciousness has how many parts? 3.
3.
The Jomachon, Newachon, Ka, Ba, and Ak. The 3 of them, Moachogan, the content, your history of the world, your understanding of the environment, the worldview, your capacity to access quality information, man. The directions, your goals, visions, and all these things, ma direct that. And the instruments, your macro, your personality, miti yogo, your thinking systems, your thinking styles, your your abilities and your skills. 3 parts. Maki combined together determine your level of consciousness. Consciousness, okay, kaka jomoko newer nwani. Now you know the system. Mano is not consciousness. Consciousness and these 3 parts and understanding in detailed. So ineno kata jomachon newacho there are 3 parts. Mondo gibed confusing. Ka, Ba. Telo. Ka, Ba. Gikao, mondo gichange a certain religion. Gikao Ka, Ba, and make it a physical place. But you have to visit once a year. In your lifetime. Or in your lifetime. Ineno kaka this new new systems of thought chamo the old systems of thought by changing the core of it. Changing the core of it. Koro kibiro ka Kristo, Ka, Ba, Ak, bedo Father, Son, Holy Spirit.
Holy Spirit.
Kidhi kuom jogi nikech onge Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, nitie mana the Father and the Messenger. Ba, you combine Ka, Ba to better place. So the game continues. But key understand the African systems, tinyalo neno what they are doing. This is why Africanness and something more Kwabed encouraged to look at. And backwardness. And your ancestors were walking naked and they didn't know anything. And they were savages. Kaka uminde wacho pagans.
Pagans.
So a lot of information manyalo konyi to understand what is happening before you today. Iweyo, because that was in the past. That was in the past. So you exist kaka wacho gani kaka jo walogo gano na gi exist. Gi exist in the now. Gi exist in this moment. None reality. Ongega to them ongega history. That is one. Tineno kata Kenya exists like that. Majority of one we do not know any Kenyan history. Really. Onge just from independence. Tamano be very vaguely. Okay, in detail, very vaguely.
To bende mwang'eyo no, wang'eyo mana the system uyie ni ng'e.
Ema wacho very vaguely.
Kata books mondik malong'o mag history are hidden from you. You can't read them.
Kata history mama umau. Kibiro bineno the files majok intiego about Mau to what we have. It is a joke. What we have is a joke. Our concept of Mau is a joke. So you realize now this type of things timre a lot. Mommy, you don't want this place where we are confused. And understanding Africa and very important. and very important. Nikech open to you ways kata sama ng'ato kelo riambo, inyalo neno. Inyalo neno. But okibed encouraged understanding kata. Okay, wachako with the Luo worldview, but wadwa ng'eyo what is the Bantu worldview and what is the Bantu meaning people. Okay, I mean as the tribes. Okay, Bantu just means people. A Bantu, people. In particular tribes. Ok mean nikoro gina particular group. Nikech wasewacho gini ka. How can a particular group be named after a word? One. And then another group is named after a river. Okay, those are Nilotes after a river. And then another group is named after a character in the Bible, Cushites.
Yeah, they want you to know only what they want you to know that is corrupted.
Alafu kata our scholars even the cradle land of the Nilotes, and then gichako goni this one-sided story of Luo. Gichako gakane, the cradle land of the Nilotes, and Luos are grouped with other Nilotes. What the hell is a Nilote? What the hell is a Nilote? Kobedo complex, nikech gidwa squeeze some jo Rift Valley kanyo giochon, but there's a difference. There's River Lake Nilotes, and then there's Highland Nilotes, and the Plain Nilotes. How are they Nilotes and the Nilotes Nilu because they followed the Nile? So which Nile is in the Highlands? Which Highlands? In the Rift Valley. Where does the Nile follow in the Rift Valley?
Ramoth, GK, gigo akrami class 4-5 kendikeli page ma river
That is why. That is why.
yo war.
Tell sometimes the best way to make somebody useless is give them education. Okay, the reality that is before them, they will not see for the education. So Oparon co answer those things, Oparon or react thoroughly. But lal kabisa. Nikech the thing manone go dikuro learn, first of all, and the history, and then thinking. Who they are, and then thinking. Nkechmago are very important aspects. Who they are as a person, what makes them. I mean, the beautiful thing about the Luo worldview, Ochako by Oken concerned by Nyasaye first, or whatever, and concerned about the human person and the human being. Or center on you first. Onge give me the understanding this environment, Koki understand you first. Mar Jog is the opposite. He understand God first, alafu me purpose. In your position is you're a sinner. And that is finished. Koki in this other Egyptian, Koki walk in this one, still you don't, Okina sinner, but in this floating thing that should find itself. By meditation and so what and so what. Alafu in such a system, different types of gurus arise with different type of theories and interesting type of drugs. And totally another. I mean, Luo and then Africa is really grounding. Understanding gig is really grounding. And really grounding. Because the most important thing Ngato None go in the school was self-education. Higher levels of self-education. Because the environment did change as it has always done. And you will need to be self-educated more than the classroom or the school will not cover everything. It can never cover everything. So the most important skill, one of the most important skill Mobedo forgotten is hunting. Hunting for thought, hunting for knowledge, hunting for it. solutions. Yani, go for it. One would have been even better because that was a big part money ponjo the people how to do. And I'm your story name it. You know, at the beginning, you watch no bedo so this hunt, mano hunt within nature. Mane bata hunt within nature. So watch kama. Bata the younger lived with them, more like a son than a brother. But he worked hard and willingly for Anpu, making his clothes, driving his oxen to pasture, plowing and sowing the seeds in the rich mud after the inundation, reaping the golden corn as springtime turned into the first hot days of summer. And in time, he grew, in time, he grew to be an excellent farmer. There was no his equal in the land. Self-education to a very high level. So Manwadich was just supposed to teach you, okay, this is how education works, this is how somebody looks for knowledge, this is how, but motivate that living son. Magri presented by Hamakis. More self-education and more things. Okay, many more things. Pastello. Only.
Okay, Anka.
I'm getting here a short break. A short commercial break out for Duog.
Okay, to do yes.
Taka Martin.
DJ Otimno anegi moroka.
One line.
Yes, GK, Antierika.
Ise gine kofi matin.
Yeah, so pong na gigomba ka. Yeah.
Nado mana mention gimora cheli story ni alafu wa kine wadhi mbele matin. Iwacho ni ntie Hathors manobiro. Hathor, one of the
So many background, Lore.
Allora. Ormai gini mokwongo. Bas. Kendo giwacho kama Hathor. Hathor is one of the most significant deities in Egyptian mythology. She is often associated with love, beauty, music, and motherhood. Her presence in ancient Egyptian culture was profound, and she played a vital role in various aspects of life and the afterlife. Hathor is depicted as a woman with cow horns and a sun disk, symbolizing her connection to both the heavens and the earth. Okay. Telo Gimomio, this story then intriguing to me was kako relate with a LUO worldview on especially kakiwacho ni Hamachis, which is representation of the sun at the horizon. Biro. Ntie something madwa somoka, which is ntie kod ability to be misunderstood, but then very profound. Very profound. Kata scholar moro no misunderstand alafu nyako moro osome kanyo and she didn't get it. Wachon Africans did not have a concept of time. That they didn't get it. Like get it. In the lower mind, the earth is a slightly sloping plane. One could say that time, too, is slowly moving towards the horizon. Like a river passing tardily through the plane of human existence. Like a river passing tardily through the plane of human existence. In Luo language, there is no proper term for time, nor for space. Kanyama Bedo misunderstood. Okay. It is as if the two concepts were still not yet separated from the consciousness of mind. As if subject and object are too intimately linked together to be separated and to be made distinctive by language. The Luos, of course, are like every human being, conscious of the fact that they are living inside time and space. So then we understand this. It is evident. They are in time and space. This is evident. And that their life is passing away, and that space is not only physical, but existential. Is not only a physical, but an existential fact, with its dimension on the psychological and intellectual level. So, but Luos do not feel separated from these categories of space and time. They feel them completely out and finally appear to be identical with them. To such an extent that one could say that it is rather the time and space which follow the person than the contrary. Hello, Wadia Diambele. Modine, the difference with European conception of life. Owacho kama, nikech gifeel time completely until time follow man and space. Owacho kama, nikech recognize this, are identical with them, but to such an extent that one could say that it is rather time and space which is following the person than the contrary. A LUO is always completely himself. He's always completely himself. The opposite of Rimbaud's Jesu on Orke, I am another, which can be said to represent the modern type of a Western, of a white person. Ginok Ginga themselves at all. That is where Africa's problems stem from. Kanyem Kuma white supremacy and racism stems from. Okinyal bet completely themselves until somebody else is in a worse position, Ekagi feel comfortable.
That's profound.
This is why LUO was such a problem to them, and it's still a problem. Invent or nagi. Invent or nagi with this story of 3 lines, and they came and any LUOs who were there before, who stayed around the lake, the original place Manegintie, those ones Magowa lawyer, those ones are not LUO. This LUO thought is such a problem. In its pureness, is such a problem. I'm gonna invent a totally different version of it. Yachokama, I am another, which can be said to represent the modern type of Western of a white person. In our chapter about kinship, we try to explain that the individual existence of a Luo is nothing but his reflection into other and related existences, to his ancestors, to his children, and that without such points of reference, the individual would and does not exist, has not been existing. My mom, your soul, my is the explanation. Your soul is the other, is the ancestors, is your children, is the people, is your community. Because even cattle coexist, but to coexist within the society, he has not existed. Equal Neka, he has not existed. And therefore can't be, and therefore can't be. So he has not existed, therefore can't be. We say that the individual is an empty mirror which is filled by other existences which reflect themselves there. This means that the individual is nothing but empty space between the region placed in the memory and the open space of hope and confidence. Telogini Bob bed of more complex. Wawe Kanya. Luo is so deep. So deep. And mom, your negation, there's no proper word for time. Or say feel time completely, that his identity is completely himself. Mano is another level, Mabet, pure. Makoro any time. Nikech kikalo telo, kitransit, no? Time orumo ni. But okorumo for the world. Kakalo. Time orumo. Meaning I'm not there in this physical form. But okumeans ni it mano kata in extreme. Telo kidhi nindo kawuono. Kidhi nindo. Iumo wang'ini koro, imiyo wang'ini koro nindo. Does not mean everybody in the world nindo with you. Mano gima gitemo wacho. It is only you sleeping. It is not the world sleeping. But when you puonjowaga the concept of time, Nika, it is night to me. It is night for everybody. Manema is the other. But jomokalo psychology no this kaka Freud negitemo fight with this, and the nok gi resolve this conflict because the conflict is them. It is the core
Yes,
of them. Koro resolve this conflict, it does not exist. The
exactly.
Asian, the European, these Africans smoke out this type of thoughts, Jonyange and stuff. They cannot exist. Emomio kata kiwachoni, the region of Kenya is far from Western, from Nyanza. It takes hours to reach. But kagibet penyipod gibo worry about those people from that region. They don't know how to be themselves. So gin very emomio kirango Kenya, the European really loved staying around these people because they had the same confusion. So it was okay. Neginyalo winjre. The core of the mental health issue nok nyal bedo resolved. So it was okay. Neginyalo exist. Kamzungu okodhi nyange, maroni odhi nyange, but they could the not being yourselfness, waluonge kamano, was similar. So neginyalo operate on that level. Emomiyo nyaka sani pod nitie that hate. And kata kitemo nyisogi these things of Kenya, emomiyo Kenya does not have a Kenyan culture. They cannot allow it. Because they would disappear in the culture of the whole. To ginok gin really themselves. Atemo wacho nade. Mano is a bit technical, Telo. You understand? You understand. So Jomatemoga solve Kenyan issues with this simple nagi mindset. Nikech paroga mana niko change himself. To jogo bo accept himself. Koro ka ung'isi ni koro wadhi nyange so that those people can accept us to be president. To wadhi nyange nikech such simplistic type of thinking. To kata kidhi nyange no tiyudo odhi yudo another reason gimomiyo ok inyal bet president. Nikech ok understand how you being the monster supports him to be stable. Nikech gichal wazunge, kigolo you as a monster to gichako padre. Ojo, jokoni ok winjre gi jokoni, to giwachoga ni jokoni gin jokuoyo, ok gihero jokoni. But you are the unifying factor. Kaka Africa is the unifying factor for Europe. Ne kaka Traore gini ochako
Without
accept.
Africa, they are nothing. They have nothing.
No, not even they have nothing. I mean, kama ka onge confusion in Africa, wakete on a simple level. A simple level. Cow places mosetimo atrocities in the world. Nikech gisenegre so many people. But ka Africa en poor to ginyalo oro lewni. For example, their mind bedo stable and they are not so bad people. Because they are also contributing to the poor. So Onyalo accept his barbarism by saying, but I'm balanced because I also help the less fortunate. I mean it on that level. Yeah, no.
Or feel nikotimo a grave mistakes this side, but the other side, or lewni and compassionate and all that to balance the equilibrium. Koro ber.
Moso kotimo gimarach. Okonen timo gimarach. Owacho nan ga ng'ama ber. It is just this situation. Yeah. So help and katakit is a watching Ken iloso gima poison the soil. Yes. Range at that level. Iloso gima poison the soil completely. My generations bobedo with funny diseases. But ibo ngisri ni in ng'ama ber because you contribute to the poor. and you care for the poor, and you care for the animals, and you care for the plants. Ineno kaka we work. It's not caring for the plants and making it the core. Such jump Martin. Tell such things like NGO sector are prosperous. It helps their consciousness.
Correct.
Now it is not that they do not know that there's corruption there. They like it like that. But these NGO people are more corrupt than us. So any parallel
And by
go corner.
Kagi say kamano ni those NGOs are even more corrupt than them. They know nigi say Marco, there's no way they can stand and challenge them. How do you challenge me to any more corrupt even than me?
Again, tell Ogin
In
interested in challenging them. Ogin interested in challenging them. This is an existential thing. Je suis un âtre, which can be said to represent the modern type of Western white person. My mommy LUO is so dynamic. It's so dynamic. Okay. What? Okay. What time me jump somewhere, and that will make sense. LUO
no,
time.
JK we anemondi. Aparon ki jump tongani delal. Gima somo ni gima wachono is somebody saying, is that what? Okay, I change the words. I put my words to make it. But actually, that is what they do. They can create war in, like now they're creating war in Iran. That's what he said. And
No.
then in the other side, they may send some substantial amount of dollars to a suffering country in the name of giving you aid to help possibly with the diseases and all that. And then that makes them feel good about themselves.
No. Emomio natemo kele more to
Yeah.
Korango war, you will miss what is happening.
Exactly. Koro,
Yes.
kama neka konene,
Mokwongo,
could explain. Yeah.
Mokwongo, remember, these are warlike people. Okay? Gimomi knew warlike people. Their core idea was a warrior, if a warrior dies as a warrior, odi to Valhalla. That is important to understand. Onge in African societies, if you die in battle, you're going direct to Polo. This is a Eurasian problem. And I mean a Eurasian problem. Chakre from Western Europe to Asia. You're going to get this stupid thinking. They call the meatness, ito around your people to me give wisdom. Is you thought in battle kin nego so many people. Man not direct to Polo. So this thing of thinking them causing war is something that makes them uncomfortable. That is the core of their religion. Killing is the core of the religion. Okay, so that is a direct. Look at these people. Ibo realize that idea. Ma auto kodu suicide bomb. It is that Eurasian problem. They have always. This has been the core of them. My Manotemo mentioned Kacha. This is what Natemo mentioned. To them, it is the other. My death does not make sense if I do not go with others. So this is the core. To ka anego others to adi polo. So them, they really do not need to send some money to make themselves feel better. They feel better when they are killing. This LUO thought that you become yourself, you are yourself, is so important. It is the opposite of how Eurasia works.
Yes.
He is himself by finishing others. But in LUO, You are yourself because you reflect on the society. You are a reflection. You are a mirror of the society. Mm. And you exist because they exist. Or you will keep existing. Watch, come on. Lock Ubuntu thing in obedo jokes. Oko make sense anymore. We are because you. I mean by that because I track Martin. Nkoro, the people of South Africa. I mean the South Africans, the original indigenous South Africans, will not ask for their reparations for all the atrocities Manegi face because we are Ubuntu. We are because you are. Mm. So Giparon give your African wisdom, but it is standing in the way of them getting justice. And the result is now Korosa Nige Yuak because they do not really have resources. And they are attacking the other Africans. For them and the person who caused this problem, they are because you are, and we are because you are, and we exist because you are, and then Ubuntu. But to other Africans, there is no Ubuntu. Where Dogor.
Very
So
interesting.
the most interesting thing, man, especially especially modern Africans, Otamogi get is the mindset of Eurasia. How the identity is structured. They don't get it.
Ask GK this.
Nepokatieko point notella. Abi wrote that question. So what here I handle this part of saying them causing war in Iran is not them causing war. It is them going back to what they do. Too much peace is boring. For them, peace is boring. To them, peace won't get development. So this position, Maggie Constant, what this is my Koro bear. This is the sweetness of life. You know, Tamogajo Africa understand. So Kawachoni, Gidu the other. So when Samagi sent those things there, it is not that they feel good about themselves. This is not what is happening. Gifil, they are becoming closer to their concept of God. Okay, he punishes, but he provides. When he was killing is when he was feeling good about himself. Mommy, there's no African country except from South Africa that has atomic bombs or are thinking or in the future, Giparon, we should have atomic bombs that kill one person 7 times over. But Eurasia,
There is that guy, his first name is George. I don't know the other name, I've forgotten it. He says, this God, he has everything, yet he loves money. You must give him money every Sunday, but he has everything. That's what he normally says.
So in a nutshell, this is really, especially one Jomo Chamo book. Understanding this concept, this idea of these people is so hard. It's one of the most difficult things for an African. This person does not think the way you think he thinks about the world, or could think about the world the way he has taught you he thinks about the world. So, by providing for Africans whatever aid, it is not about feeling good. It is for him and about he has the right to rule the world because he's the one who can provide. So it does not matter his atrocities. That is no problem. If he poisons the world, it is okay because he has a right to do this because he provides for those monkey people down there who have all the resources, the best brains in children, but they cannot do it. And they are super corrupt. So I deserve to run the world. I am close to godness. Or godism. Or Godism. That is the game Magitu Goga. That is why God is dead. That is why the thing that God is dead. I am here. The second question.
There is a concept I've been struggling with.
Mm.
They created a God for us, and they told us this God is everything. Yet some of them make the same God a jealous God. But I ask, why would God be jealous when He has and is everything? Some of them have created a God for us, but again, they created Him as a wrathful God. But why would He be angry when He cannot be hurt or damaged in any way?
Mana the question.
Yeah. So He wants to understand. I think those were his how he put it. But if I read it from wherever he wants to understand is he is doubting in his mind. There's a doubt about this God, like in the Western world, and what was preached to us, and we are told there is a God and He's in heaven and He has got two things: He has life and He has fire. If you are a bad person, He throws you in that fire. So what he's trying to understand is in LUO consciousness, this is not there, and it thinks that's the right way. Because why would you tell me God is everything, and again at some point God is lacking? You
Mm.
tell He is the best God, and but then sometimes He
Tell
revenges.
her. When you start doing this, this is not LUO thought. LUO thought
No, I'm
concentrates.
putting the way he's putting it.
Emma Wachone, I do okay.
Yeah.
When you're doing this, this is not LUO thought. LUO thought concentrates on the human being first.
Correct.
So when the human being is starting to ask questions about God, Enobo bet God when? His consciousness is so complex that it should create a world. To one kaka Joluo, Jorateng, we still have a world to create. What is this argument about what God should do? Kwadi with the argument of the religious people. God has already created the world and rested. His work is over. So what Emodonji we are to ask for what? He's finished his work. That is one. Emomi Oluo again is very profound. It does not concentrate on things that do not matter. Whether God is jealous and not, how does it help you? Ibo the Kodebi is God. Ibo the convince him not to be jealous. Okay, why should he listen to you as a human, as his creation? Why should he sit there and listen to what you're saying? When he was creating the world according to religious thought, he did not ask you for advice. When he finished the work and created all the animals, he did not ask your advice. So he has finished the work. He's resting. Why should he listen to your opinion about whether he's jealous or not? Waste of African time. Waste of African time. We round concepts and we think it is intelligence. E waste time. E waste time nikech thon tiembe leka, and you have real problems to solve. That is why we were given this type of stories. God is jealous. He can give birth. He cannot give birth. He is one, and his messenger is one. No, but his messengers are 10. They are prophets, and his son is Jesus. No, but Jesus is a magin wastage of time. So if you solve it, what happens? At the end of this argument, the understanding if God is jealous or not, Bokonyo make trains and jets, what we need. Wastage of time. Africans spend too much time on this nonsense. Emomi ahead of Luo, it concentrates on the human mind and its creativity and its consciousness, which they call it spirituality. Especially when we have a world to create. Two, when we're arguing about God, Noachakoka, we read about where the word comes from. We read, and I gave even the name of the first book. You can go and look for it and read it. Which means what? These people's concept of God is different from that idea you have in your head of God. Atemo explained to them, they are God. So they have a right to be jealous and everything else. Mama Temo explained Kakawacha, the other. To them, Watem Wachokama Telo. This is why Africans, Tabo Wachokama, this is why Africans do not get it. Africans are the most confused people on this planet, if they're Africans at all. Emomio, the moment Jarate in white supremacy does not exist, Manga Monegi chuad thoroughly. Because to them, God is their system. It is white supremacy. That system is their God. And if you look at that system, Iboneno, it works the way they described for you. Those same people, Manobiro, with the idea there's an old man in the sky, the same ones came and said there's no man in the sky. God is dead. Koro, they were talking a different sense. I say what you Katak in the LUO court of the king, the language is different. The words sound similar, but what they're talking about is completely different from essence. No, I read some words in the LUO court, in the court of the king. Chakilungon P, Oklongen Chakilungen P. But in the normal language, PNP Chak and Chak. Meaning the way you deal with concepts is very different. The Jogyo Sebet at the top for quite some time. Not too long, but quite some time. So you understand how that court works. So Samagi Woyoko about God, they are talking about the system. Their system. That is what provides for them. Not some person in the sky or under the sky. That is what provides for them. So that to them is God. That is what they are talking about. That is why I defend it very much. And the second thing, Magiti Moga, in that second aspect, they transform. Manegiwachon, the God is dead. They did not mean literally it is dead. Negiwachon, it has to go underground. You don't talk about it. You don't tell these people, especially Joratengo, you say this is what is happening. You play dumb. Itimrikangamo. For me, example, Katieko that part. Okay, sometimes these things seem a bit complex. Kidi libraries make a job, especially university libraries. Ibo you the books about your people. Books about your people. Tongani nyalo dhi kuro okao kata 6 months kapoko biro nkech ong'eyo no biro. Onyalo learn about your people and the country in detail ma in iwuon ikia. Gi collect information like that. So kobiro, to in mineno ni tere around to the ghetto, magite ong'eyo, o confirm to gima noneno, gima nosomo. But in Midwang, and here we live like this, Africans dance like this, koritero give this nonsense, makoma ji dance, alafu iwer nigi korineno ningi, so gi so much culture. Ging'e in out.
To give me out of tune for you to hear.
Yeah. Ging'e in out. Mommy atoga Jomaneno can to go these games with them. The game is on you, okay, no her or him. Ong'e yi. Okonyal bet not Ose dominate Africa for so long and he does not understand them. Now Achoka, it took them 400 years of constant study. Ekagidwog na Africa maber. 400 years. The 400 years Ose, that 400 years study Ose konyogi, Ose megi leeway for almost another 400 years magise bet kagitago. Those games, me to go, you go are not the same. So stop. Another advice, come on. Okay, you need penja question. Talk ni penja advice. Those questions are irrelevant. This Nyan, he's talking about something different. That he's not talking about what you are thinking about. Obed Jo Christo, Obed atheist, Obed nen atheist, Obed Nakian Islam, Nakian Hindu. What they are talking about is a system and different. Okay, the Hindu have they have the most racist system in the world. The Europeans learned from them. The caste system. Machon Jarating will always be pain, should always be pain, was born to be pain completely. Ngasamo nyiro ko diati uni company no. The core of him is that the lower duok nigo. Ageko makes sense. Ama jiobedo more
Yeah, I think if I were to, if it was me who was in that situation and my argument or not asking questions, the way you've answered it, I'm waiting for possibly from the guy if he has got it so that he gives me how he understands it. But Ramoth, in simple effect, is what is needed is not change of circumstances. Circumstances kategori mana kanye materi kanye and all that. What is mostly needed is change of consciousness. We must come to a point where we learn, not accept. You can't accept what you have not gone through and understood. But we have to go through the process of understanding that currently, as our mindset is set, we are understanding most of everything around us through somebody else's understanding of the same situation. We are looking at most of the things through somebody else's eyes, not our eyes. I think that is the simplest way I can put it, that until we regain our consciousness and see everything in our own understanding, we'll still be questioning God. Who is God? What did he do? Why did he do it this way and not that way? Because we still believe in a God who created things. And like you are saying, even if we question him, are you going to make him change whatever you think he created wrongly and he should have created rightly or in a way that you so until we do what Bantu Stephen Biko said about black consciousness generally, and we even make it broader and go into the LUO consciousness, it's a journey. It's a journey. We are also not faulting the fact, but it's a journey that you have to be willing to take to be able to. Because if we talk about circumstances, hey, I wish I was this way before this happens, it doesn't matter. Your circumstances will change, but if your consciousness has not come into terms with the facts and with the truth, then still we won't get it. Like Ramok says, we don't get it. So Ramoth, I'm sure where possibly the person, there are two people who ask those questions. I'm sure they're still possibly also analyzing what you've said, and we'll hear from them and see how they react to it. But the bottom line is, as we see it, Luaness is the worldview of it. It's not easy to grasp because I think one, you'll be faulted of fighting other, what do I call it? fighting religion or something like
Tribes
that,
and tribes.
and tribes, yes.
Mm.
And so if you get to that point, then you have got more wars to fight, because you are getting people who are ready to fight because they're fighting and defending a position that is not theirs, but it has been put into them for years. So that is what they believe in. That is what they know that exists. Just like we've said about even Kenyans, you know, you've mentioned it a million times. There is no Kenyan culture. There is no the history. Very few people can narrate proper history of Kenya. The little that a few people know from 1963, which we think is Kenya, is even so much distorted. It tells you what the powers be wants you to know. Any other thing you want to know beyond that. And that's people must also know that that's why there are books that people, there are books like people like Ngugi wa Thiong'o, the book like Not Yet Uhuru of Jaramogi Odinga. There was a time it was illegal to read it. So all this culminates to one thing. Systems have been consistent in making sure that you don't regain your consciousness. You don't know the truth, because they know in that once you know the truth shall set you free, and nobody will ever, ever, ever control you. You will be as free as the birds of the air, doing what you want in the right way. I think that's what I can, that story, after listening to it and connecting it, and to even imagine and even feel and read it and understand that it existed thousands of years before the Bible was written, and then it every story corresponds with a distorted version that has been put elsewhere. But we we only evolve, and we want just to concentrate on LUO consciousness. We don't want to waste time in asking why the Bible wrote this and didn't write this. They wrote what they wanted to write. They gave it to the people, and they made sure the people believed it. But a few people have also realized that, for example, if you talk of, there are things you talk about, you get into a debate, but the truth is, even the Bible came from people. People changed it to 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 actually correspond with their situations. The King Georges of England and all those people. So yeah, Ramont, I'll leave it there. But I think the bottom line is we don't need a circumstantial change. We need a consciousness change to understand all these things. Thank you.
Erokamano. And telo kwa tieke, nikech time ni kaka ne giwacho no, odhiga. Sometimes kwachako to waneno there's a lot of time, but we feel it so much miyudo ni koro the more mwabo wuoyo, the more time bo luwowa. So chopo kama wacho no kiwewa en kech ji nyaka rest and all this other, the physical aspect of time. So but wacho kama, even kata ask those questions and the explanation does not make sense, ask again. Kikiluor penjo. Never, 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 never. Questions are for us, questions are the best. Even if we have explained and it is not clear, ipenjo kendo, then it makes us better at explaining.
Correct.
Okay, the thing might make sense in my head, but sama awuoyo, it makes sense to me, but it does not really make sense to you. And the purpose of this can show how much I understand. That is not the purpose of this. The purpose of this, and make sure anyalo communicate what I understand. Mondinene. And for me, the questions make me better at this.
GK, this is quite interesting. Let me just fill it in before you finish.
Mm.
The answer GK has given me around wasting my time asking, have just made me realize that one, my head is full of nonsense, and two, I have good notes in books that I actually don't need.
Mana is the truth of African reality.
It's not it's not me saying it. I'm reading exactly. So the answer that
Mm.
JK has given me has just made me realize that my head is full of things that I shouldn't even bother with. And two, I have got notes from books that I've just realized that is a waste of time. I don't need.
You Kendomano makes sense. I tell you, that makes sense. There's things you have to invent. There's systems you have to create. There's businesses you have to found. This knowledge is more important. Let God handle God. He's capable. If what they say is true, he's capable. There are systems you have to form. There are things that are waiting for you. There are partnerships you have to form. There are friends you have to kick out. There are new friendships you have to make. And you're so busy. They just want you to waste time, and then it's your dying day. Really feel that space between being born and transitioning. Feel it with impact. Feel it with them. Kiki waste time on arguing about things that really do not make sense, and they're taking an hour from your day, a second from your day, and really your life is really precious. And remember, your laws concentrate on the human life, on the human being. That is one of the most precious resources. So throw those things to the side. Not go nonsense. There's inventions you have to do. There's technologies you have to invent. There's systems that you have to bring out. Okay, you are that LUO, you are that sun. There's new inventions that have not been seen that you have to bring. You make sure and put the waste time arguing about God and the heaven and all these things. Heaven is already made. Streets of gold, mansions, podi watemone noka Kenya nyalo bit called highways ma make sense, but do not start falling apart in potholes with 3 years. Kataka China imoloso. So one other issues of this world, the more do deal. So is erokamano for the reply. Wonle, waduok ni mondo ing'is jogi oriti, alafu wacho oriti, alafu watieke.
Erokamano JK. Ok atieke gi weche mang'eny. Atieke gi nikech aspect mimulo kawuono and the I think the feedback that we've got at the end makes the whole discussion quite interesting for me and quite fulfilling. That's the word I'm looking for. Because I think that's where now somebody is realizing and is ready to walk into LUO consciousness. And that makes me happy because I was once in a forum, and after all had been discussed and cups of coffees later and everything and lots of snacks later, I loved one guy who just finished the meeting by saying that if you are serving a God that you have to help fight his wars, if you are serving a God that you have to support for him, to give support, you as a human being, you have to support him in any way. If you are serving a God who feels lacking, that there is a support that you have to give them, then think twice. That's what he said. Think twice. So I think, in essence, I'm now also just realizing that this guy was simply sending people back to LUO consciousness. He's not a LUO, but he was sending people back to LUO consciousness. In essence, he was saying, before you get to those roads, those golden highways in heaven, invent a material that can make roads in Kenya that don't get potholes after 3 years. I'm paraphrasing your words. And I add personally from me in finishing that I need to be convinced beyond reasonable doubt that the same person who is fighting for gold here with me, here on earth with me. Platinum with me here. Philosopher here with me, fighting for it, can kill for it, not can kill, kills millions for it. Is the same person telling me there is free gold somewhere. And we walk on roads that, and he's not thinking to go there, yet he can go to the moon. Sorry, I'm not buying that. Thank you so much, cultural champions. Ramoth, I hope they won't they won't close us down because not closing, but interfere with our network because we've said that. But they'll have Juogi to deal with. Um, our Luo cultural champions. This is one of those days where we handle the truth. We come here to give you conversations at times, and as always, we say that you might not meet them anytime soon, anywhere, because they are sometimes a no-go zone to some people. Luo consciousness is our business, and we are not going to relent if we have to challenge. If our voice becomes the only truth that challenges all the hogwash that has been given to us for the last 300-400 years, so be it. As I always say, somebody must do something. Somebody must start a journey. Somebody must do something. And our channel is one of those channels that have decided to deal with our cultural aspect of things, and that is Luo culture. And that's a core value of Ramogi Cultural Institute for Luo Heritage, research, education, and education. I mean, research and education. And through research that is mostly read by Ramoth, you realize that even the stories that we read from the past, the Luo folk tales, that was read from, you had Egypt, but it was a Luo concept in Egypt, thousands and thousands of years ago. And so we are just starting, we're just beginning. We have to be truthful to our journey as Luo people. We have to do what we've come out to do, and that is rebuilding the village. And we're going to rebuild this village, and we know you, our cultural champions, are going to be part and parcel of it, not only in the sense of supporting it, but in the sense of walking the journey so that the village walls don't close you out, but you are inside it, enjoying it. You have no idea how being into the deep waters of Luoness and the thinking, the worldview of Luoness is freeing. You talk freely. You get guided freely, and it's just a way of life that is beyond imagination. And thank you for choosing to be with us now, choosing to be with us always, as always. We are still going to bring you more deeper stories even than this. And very soon also, as we promised, we are going to go into discussing some of these things for more hours and in a deeper way, but possibly not in this channel that we are in now. So those are the plans that are ahead here. So you'll have opportunity to be part and parcel of the discussions in a more broader way, in a deeper way, and possibly longer. And that's why we say, when we say there is a process to follow in Luoness, those are the processes that we are ready to go through with our people. Thank you so much for being with us. Thank you to the people who work behind the scenes, whose voices might not be heard here, but they are always there making sure that everything is in order. The elders running and managing and planning and programming Ramogi Cultural Institute for Luo Heritage Research and Education aspects and programs. To GK Ramoth, don't get tired with the coming always to explain these things in a deeper sense. In every aspect of life, even in religion, only one man is always chosen sometimes to pass the message. Without judging the message, it's always a man. Every major religion, Luo consciousness in this age and time has chosen you. And therefore, my prayer is that the elders guide you, the Juogi guide you so that you always come and take us deeper into this Luo consciousness world. Thank you once more. I don't know whether you have a last word, and then you.
Erokamano Telo. Erokamano, I really appreciate this time we have together. Thank you so much for being here, for your patience. Like I always say, and Olda says, and the whole team says, you are the message, you are the goal, you're the gold, you're the precious minerals, you're the prize. We are just privileged to present the prize, to mine the gold, but you are the it. So thank you for being here. Thank you for giving us your precious time, your precious attention, your precious focus. Those are resources that we do not take for granted. And we understand the intrinsic value in this, the intrinsic value in your humanness. And we really appreciate this. So thank you for being with us. Thank you also to Ramogi Cultural Institute for Luo Heritage Research and Education for giving us this chance to have our space, have our place, have our corner. Pedokoda Bila Marwa, where we can meet and talk and discuss these things. And where we can be loved by our culture. Because ours is past tribe. It's past this. The tribe was left when the Europeans designed a tribe and called it LUO. And it's Luoism. This is past a tribe. This is consciousness. This is culture. So we are glad and we are happy that we can participate in our culture and contribute to it in 2026 and going forward until 20 whatever, however much will be there, and we can hand it over to our children and they contribute. Because one thing is for sure, two things are for certain, is we don't do this because we hate other people. We do it because we love being ourselves completely. And we have no problem with other people doing for them. Also, we find it interesting because we have places where we can work together and cooperate together and have even exchange of information. But that does not have to be explained to people. What is understood does not have to be explained. So I'll leave it there. Erokamano Ramogi Cultural Institute for Luo Heritage Research and Education. Again and again and again and again and again. Thank you to our ancestors for being so in love with the culture and for constructing such a culture that we can contribute to, that is not finished, that is not ended, that we can partake of and still grow in. And that they had so much foresight to see what we'll go through and also still give us a space where we can contribute. They see everything through us, experience things through us, smell, touch, and taste through us. So we are glad to be alive. It is an honor to us to live and that they can experience the work that they did through us. So we have the same blessing to experience it through our children and the generations coming. May we be found worthy to have done the work, really, to maintain a space where we can be even after we transition. So we are thankful for the ancestors who really lived honorably, who are worth mentioning, who are worth emulating as strength. And the ones who did not live have already disappeared. So may we be found worthy to enter those halls of ancestors who made sense. And also Erokamano to Ouda for hosting us every time and being host, moderator, and having that willingness and capacity to always show up consistently. That is really appreciated. It is not something we take for granted. Showing up is one of the most showing up consistently is one of the most hardest things. And to the team behind the scenes who help us put this together, and technical systems and communication systems and logistic systems, we remember you. We never mention you, but you're important to us, and you really, really, really matter. And thank you again for your service and for your commitment. Erokamano. We'll see you again soon when you have something, because we always love you so much that we always want to present something and spend time with you, because it's always worth it. We'd ask the DJ to Teledo Achokimoro.
GK.
What's Gimoro?
Gen Z Zoachonia. I just thanked everybody. I thanked everybody. They have been learning to be Zindiswa and Zenani. Those are Mandela's girls, and they always read what they said. They said when they're asked about how they feel about their father being the father of the nation, and they say that from childhood they had learned to share him with South Africa, and then along the way they realized that they had to share him with the world. So we are being lynched here that we thanked everybody else except the people who give us time to be with this other bigger family. The time I'm being threatened that time might be withdrawn because they are not Zinzi and Zenani. Yeah.
Thank you, Neamana dear. That is true. Also, thank you to our families. Thank you so much to our families that you, even through this, you have unending patience for us. And even when we are doing the broadcast, sometimes the kids are asleep without us, and we are really thankful to our partners, our children, and the extended families for having so much patience. It is good we have been reminded. Now we will keep you in our Thanksgiving list. So thank you so much. Thank you. We appreciate this, and we do this because of you, so that even when you're not there, that our voices may still be there, and you can. As parents, it's really difficult sometimes to really show you who we are. But if you go through what we did, then you can really see what we were passionate about and what we were really thinking about and what we occupied ourselves with when we were not talking to you and telling you and explaining, and when we thought explaining would be too difficult. So thank you, and we really do this so we leave you a legacy worthy of your name and of you, and that you can be proud of to be part of. So we really thank you. Really, really thank you. Erokamano. So we do. I would request that the DJ gives us some music, but we don't keep it so long because the time has really gone today. It's almost 12. I want people to have their rest and preparation for tomorrow. So thank you so much. Kamano.